collision theory is a theory used to explain how different variables affect the rate of reaction. The collision theory is based on the assumption that for a reaction to occur, it is necessary for the reacting species of atoms or molecules to come together or collide with one another. The theory explains that for a reaction to occur, the particles must collide. It must have sufficient energy. And it must collide in a correct orientation. The different factors that affect the rate of chemical reaction. Temperature. Some chemical reaction requires an appropriate amount of temperature to occur. Some requires higher temperature to increase the reaction rate. These conditions can be explained by the collision theory. If the temperature is increased, the reactant particles will have more kinetic energy and will move more quickly. This will help the reactant particles to gain the right amount of activation energy. If the reactant particles have the sufficient amount of energy, it can now break chemical bonds on the collision and form a new bonds. Surface area. Larger surface area would create a larger space for the collision of the reactant particles. What we mean by surface area is the area exposed to the other reactant. This illustration shows the surface area of this block of solid reactant. If we split the solid reactant, the surface area would increase and would create larger space for collision. This will increase the chances of reactant particles to collide. Concentration of reactants. The concentration of reactants affect the reaction rate by increasing the probability of collision between reactant particles. Concentration refers to the amount of substance in a defined space. For example, I make a coffee for my dad and me. I put 1 tablespoon of sugar in his coffee and I put 2 tablespoons of sugar in mine. Now, my coffee has a higher concentration of sugar than my dad's, because mine has more amount of sugar in the same volume of solution. Higher concentration means higher chances of collision between reactant particles. Thus, it will increase the reaction rate. Catalyst. A catalyst is a substance that increases the rate of chemical reaction without itself being consumed or undergoing any permanent chemical change. It means that with use of catalyst, the activation energy needed for the reaction is reduced, resulting in a higher reaction rate. Catalyst changes the mechanism or the way of how a reaction occurs. Let's say that this path of a car here is the regular process or way of how a chemical reaction occurs. Without the catalyst, the car will undergo this process or way to produce a product. But with use of catalyst, a shorter process or way will be created. In simple words, the catalyst acts as an agent or path to reduce the energy needed for a chemical reaction to take place. When the activation energy is reduced, the probability of successful collision will increase, thus increasing the rate of reaction.